Have you ever stopped to think about what it actually takes to run a modern school? I mean, it's not just about teachers and textbooks anymore, not by a long shot. Behind the scenes, there's this incredible, complex digital engine that's keeping the whole thing running smoothly. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain and see exactly how it all works.
Now, really think about it for a second. You've got hundreds, maybe even thousands of students, dozens and dozens of teachers. You've got all the different classes, all the subjects, fees, exams, attendance records. How on earth do you keep track of all of that without it just turning into total chaos? Well, the answer isn't in filing cabinets anymore. It's all about digital platforms.
You do it with a centralized online management system. For this explainer, we're going to be looking at an example from a company called Savvis Schools. Think of this software as the school's digital backbone. It's the one thing that connects every single moving part, from the principal's office all the way down to a parent's smartphone. So where do you even start with something like this? Well, long before the first student even thinks about walking through the door in the fall, an administrator has to basically build the entire school year from scratch right inside the software. It's kind of like an architect creating a perfect blueprint for a new building before any construction starts.
And the very first brick in that foundation, it's something called the academic session. You have to create the container for everything that's about to happen. You're basically just defining the start and end dates of the school year. This one little entry becomes the foundation for absolutely everything else. And this is where it happens. It's so simple. An administrator just clicks Add a new session. They pop in the dates, and then they just tick a little box to say, yep, this is the current one. With just a couple of clicks, the digital blueprint for the entire school year is officially born.
Okay, so you've got the timeline, you've got the container. Now you need to start building the actual rooms inside it. And that means digitally creating every single class, nursery, prep, all the way up to grade 12. These are the main pillars of the school's entire structure. This one screen right here just shows you how powerful this is. This is the command center for, let's say, the nursery class. From this one spot, an admin can manage all the different sections, they can assign subjects, and they can even set the fees for this specific grade. See how it's all connected?
Of course, a single grade is usually too big for just one classroom, right? So you break it down into sections. You've got your section A, your section B, and so on. And from right here, an administrator can assign a specific class teacher to each one just by picking their name from a drop-down list of all the staff who are already in the system.
See? We're just building layer upon layer. So we've got our classes, we've got our sections, now we add the subjects. Things like English, Hindi, and math can be assigned to the whole grade at once. But, and this is where it gets really clever, notice that sections excluded column. It gives the admin the flexibility to say, for example, that an advanced math class is only for section A. The level of control is just incredible.
Okay, so the blueprint is done. The school is digitally built. Now let's fast forward a bit. The doors are open, students are in their seats, and the daily pulse of the school starts beating. How does this software handle the day-to-day reality of a school in motion?
Well, the heart of it all is the student record. And this is not some dusty old file in a cabinet anymore. It's a living, breathing digital profile that has everything. We're talking contact info, attendance, exam history, fee status, even health and vaccination records. It is the single source of truth for that student's entire journey.
And because all that data is connected, the system can do some really powerful things. For instance, when a teacher takes attendance online, the system can automatically ping a notification to a parent's mobile app if their child is marked absent. It's a simple feature, but it totally changes the game for communication and, honestly, for student safety.
All right, let's talk about one of the biggest administrative nightmares for any school, fees. Managing tuition, transport fees, lunch fees, you name it. It's a massive, critical job. And this is one area where software has been an absolute game changer.
I mean, you remember the old way, right? The accounts office manually writing out thousands of paper receipts, parents having to stand in these super long lines just to pay, and then the staff would spend weeks, literally weeks, trying to figure out who's paid and who hasn't. It was slow, it was inefficient, and it was just begging for mistakes.
A digital system takes all of that chaos and funnels it into one single, orderly process. But how does it actually turn that huge mess into something so manageable?
Well, it boils down to a really simple three-step process. First, the school defines all the different types of charges, which are called fee heads, things like tuition fee or transport fee. Second, they create invoice templates for different payment plans. And then, Finally, and this is the magic part, they can generate invoices for an entire class, or even the whole school, with one single click. Something that used to take days now literally takes seconds.
Okay, so let's shift gears from the finances to the core mission of the school, the academics. Now, one of the trickiest things to manage, especially as kids get older, is when students start choosing their own subjects. We're talking about elective subjects. These are the optional courses a student gets to pick based on what they're into, like choosing French instead of Spanish or picking between advanced physics and biology. And trying to track who's taking what can get really complicated really fast. The software handles this with a super clear step-by-step workflow. Now, I know it might look a little complex at first glance, but it's actually a very logical process. You create categories, you link subjects to those categories, you assign them to the right classes, and then finally, you track each student's individual choice. Let me show you how it works. So it all starts by creating these broad buckets, and they're called elective groups. Just think of them as the main categories of choices that are available, like science or sports, or in this case, language. This just helps organize all the options before they're ever offered to the students.
So after you've linked those groups to the right classes, you get to the final and most crucial step. This screen shows the list of students in Grade 5, Section A. An administrator can now just go right down the list and, using that little drop-down menu, assign each student to the language they chose, Spanish or French. The system now knows exactly what every single student is studying.
And here is the payoff. When it's time for exams and teachers need to enter marks, the system automatically shows the correct elective subject for each student. The teacher just has to type in the grade. This totally eliminates confusion and makes sure every student's report card is 100% accurate. It's brilliant. So let's zoom out for a second. When you step back from all these individual features, from setting up a school year to managing elective subjects, what's the big picture here? What does all this technology really mean for the future of education?
At the end of the day, this isn't really about code or servers or the cloud. It's about using technology to create a single, reliable source of truth for an entire school community. It makes life more efficient for administrators, more organized for teachers, and it creates a connected and transparent experience for students and their parents. So I guess the real question isn't if technology will run our schools anymore, but how we'll use all this incredible data to build an even better future for education.